The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and good morning or good afternoon. Welcome to this Produmex WMS webinar on delivery route planning with load management. In this session, I will take you through the following agenda. I'll give you first a brief introduction about Boyum IT. Then I'll give you a brief Produmex WMS overview, and then we'll go into the Produmex WMS demo. Okay, so if we look at Boyum IT, a number of key figures in this respect. So Boyum has, with its product portfolio, more than 150,000 daily users spread across more than 7,300 customers that are serviced by more than 600 reseller partners in 100 countries. Boyum itself has more than 140 employees, operates from 6 global offices in Denmark, in Germany, in Spain, in Belgium, in Hungary, Budapest, and in Miami in the United States. We've got 8 main products in our portfolio, and we deliver more than 50 releases of these products throughout the year. Now, the main products line we have is, on the one hand, of course, the Boyum horizontal solution, the B1 usability pack, print and delivery, iPayment, MailChimp, and CRM for Outlook. And then we've got our vertical solutions with BS manufacturing and the 2 logistic solutions from Produmex, the Produmex Advanced Warehouse Management System and the Produmex Scan entry-level solution. Now, this session will deal with Produmex WMS, and to situate this solution, a few words on that. So Produmex WMS is an industry-focused solution, so it offers specific functionality that relates to specific industry requirements. We have a strong footprint in the regulated industries, meaning food and beverage, life sciences, and other industries where customer safety is of paramount importance. The solution is focused on warehouse and distribution, but it also offers some basic production and packaging capabilities. Very important to note is that the solution conforms to the GS1 industry standards, as you will see later on in the demo. And currently we have more than 230 installations of Produmex WMS worldwide. Some of the example industries in which Produmex WMS has been implemented are wholesale and distribution, food and beverages, pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, industrial and consumer goods, and also in third-party logistics. Now, if we look at the build-up of Produmex WMS, so Produmex WMS is an add-on for SAP Business One. It consists of a core application, the WMS application itself, but it can be extended with some modules, like, for instance, a specific module for third-party logistics, or for quality management, or for integration with automated warehouses, for EDI, for weighing applications, for connecting to devices, and also for track and trace applications. Now, as I already mentioned, the solution is fully compliant with the GS1 industry standards. So GS1 is the global standardization body in the supply and demand chain, and has defined a number of identification keys to ease the exchange of information between supply chain partners. This includes the logistic units, the SSCCs, or the serial shipment container codes, for the identification of pallets or other logistic units. We have the product identification, so the global trade item number, also identification of locations. And then we also have the use of the GS1 barcodes and for the identification of individual products, but also for the identification of information about products like, for instance, batch information, best before dates, quantities, and so on. And we also support, say, the GS1 eCom, so the electronic communication, to allow supply chain partners or customers and vendors to exchange information about deliveries between each other. Okay. Now, in the demonstration, I will give a quick overview of some configuration aspects of Produmex WMS, but then I'll take you straight into the Produmex WMS delivery routes and load management functionalities. So this is, as you understand, this has to do with the outbound logistics, so I will not dwell on inbound logistics, on goods receipts. If you want information on how we handle inbound logistics, there are webinars on our website where you can check those out. Okay, so let's dive into the system now. Okay. Yes, so what you see here are the two phases of the Produmex WMS application. It is on the one hand an application that runs in the SAP Business One environment, where we have a number of administrative logistics functions. And then we have an application that runs on an RF terminal in the warehouse, where we can execute then the logistics operations in the warehouse. And we also have an application that can run on touchscreen devices or also on desktop PCs, where we can execute, for instance, production operations or also packing operations, as you will also see during this demo. Now, quick few things about the configuration of Produmex WMS. So Produmex WMS comes with an application which we call the organizational structure, which is an application in which we can define the structure and the behavior of the warehouse. Now, Produmex WMS links into SAP Business One at the level of the warehouse. So we do not use SAP Business One bin locations, and the reason for that is that currently the SAP Business One bin locations do not offer sufficient advanced functionality to support advanced logistics requirements. So what you see here is that we have a company. So this is the company in SAP Business One, and underneath that company we have defined here a number of warehouses, and those warehouses are the warehouses that have been set up in SAP Business One. So we have a one-on-one relation with the warehouses in SAP Business One, and the inventory that we manage within Produmex WMS is identical to the inventory in SAP Business One. So there's no duplication. So we manage the same inventory. The only difference is that we also maintain the detailed inventory, namely the inventory at the level of the individual bin locations. So if we click open this organizational structure, you see that I have defined in this structure a number of elements. So I have, for instance, defined here printers that I can use for printing reports and labels and so on. And then I have defined a number of zones in my warehouse. For instance, I have defined a zone for my docks, so for my receiving and shipping docks. So I have here a number of docks that I can use for inbound logistics or outbound logistics operation, and I can specify the behavior of them. So for a receiving dock, I have specified here that it can be used for unloading, and for a shipping dock, I have specified that it can be used for loading. I also have the possibility to define cross docks. So cross docks are docks where we can receive and ship out goods at the same time, and so therefore such a dock, of course, we have to make sure that it is capable to do loading and unloading operations. Okay, what we also have here is I have defined a picking zone where I have where I keep the inventory that I use to fulfill sales orders for my customers. Underneath that picking zone, I can define a number of aisles, and so different aisles, and underneath those. In those aisles, I can define then my bin location, so my pick location. So if we have a look at such a pick location, it can be, for instance, like this one. Yes, this is a pick location for which it is not defined that it is reserved for a specific product. So this is a pick location that can be used to store whatever product without restriction. But it is on the other hand also possible to restrict the usage of a specific bin location for a specific product. So in this case, I have specified that this bin location can only be used to store this particular item. So eco wood natural oak. I have specified a minimum quantity that has to be at the location. I can specify a maximum quantity that can be stored at the location, and I can also specify a replenish quantity. So if I drop below the minimum quantity, the system will automatically go and create a replenishment order to get stock from another location and bring it to this big location. On a location, we also have the possibility to define cycle count conditions. So for instance, we can specify that this location should be counted after a specific number of days. So if I would have put here 10 days and 10 days would have passed, the system would automatically generate a cycle count task for this location. Or I could do that also based on the number of operations. So if I have a fast runner on that location, I could say, okay, every week I want to check whether or every 10 picks from that location, I want to check that the inventory at that location is still correct. So that for the pick locations. We can also define, of course, backup locations, so where we store a product that we not immediately use for fulfilling sales orders. I can also define a packing zone in this in my warehouse, and in that packing zone I can define a packing, one or more packing lines. You will also see that during the demo. I can define a number of movable locations, like for instance picking carts or picking boxes, and I can also define here a packing station where I execute the packing operations. The same applies for production. We also have the possibility here to define a production line. We can define input and output locations. We also have the possibility to define silos and tanks, and we can also define weighing rooms for weighing operations. That is a bit about the structure. This is a structure which can be easily adapted, so I can add new elements to my structure by double clicking and adding it to the structure. And on the other hand, I also have in this organizational structure the possibility to define a number of characteristics for that define the behavior of the warehouse and the specific processes. For instance, I can define here how the picking process would have to run. So what will be the conditions that the system will use to assign products to a pick list? That are all properties that can be defined here. I can define here also my my range of SCC, so numbers for logistic units. I can define here a number of reports, like for instance a goods receipt label, an item label, a sales delivery note, shipping label, and I can associate these reports to specific print events. So for instance here, if I have do a goods receipt of a new logistic unit, I will have my report 61, which is my goods receipt label, which will be printed automatically. Or if I pack a logistic unit, I will have my report 64, which is the shipping label, and that is something that you will see also during the demo. I can also define zone types and associate these with the specific zones to make sure that only the products that belong to a specific zone are stored in that zone. Especially important if you're managing refrigerated or frozen or ambient products, but it is, as a matter of fact, possible to assign whatever zone type to a specific zone, and based on that assignment, so for instance here in my freezer zone, you see that I have assigned the zone type code freezer, meaning that only items that have the storage condition freezer can be stored over there. That is okay. We also have quality status management, so we can assign quality statuses to products but also to locations, and that will define what can be done with a specific product and so on. Okay, so that's for the configuration, so the organizational structure. Just let me dwell on one other thing before we actually go into the delivery route demonstration. If I look at my item master data, we also have specific information related to Produmex that we store there. Just let me select an item. So let's maybe take this item here, just for your information. So we have the general information on the sub-tabs, but we also have a Produmex tab, and that defines a number of additional criteria. For instance, in this case, in this product Brie sausages, it is a product that needs to be stored in the freezer zone, so it is a frozen product. It has a best before date, so the system will take that into account and will require a best before date. It is stored in my warehouse 1, and this is the default location where it is stored. And then I have a number of criteria for the sales aspect. For instance, we can have shelf life for delivery, and also shelf life for purchase, which means that I will take into account the number of days that a product will still have before its expiry date to be stored in my warehouse. I can have a number of specific characteristics in production for products. I can also manage catch weight, meaning that if I have products which have a variable weight, so for instance like a ham is sold by the piece, but its value depends on its weight. That's also something that we can manage with Produmex. And then we also have a number of attributes that we can manage or capture. For instance, in this case, for a frozen product, it is, for instance, very important that we check the receiving temperature of the product. But I could check other aspects as well, for instance, the shipping temperature. And if I add these to the item master data, the system will require me to provide information on those. So that is a very quick introduction to Produmex WMS in a generic way. Let me now proceed with the delivery route process. In order to demonstrate that, I have already prepared a number of sales orders. So I have got a number of open sales orders here that you see here, and that we are going to use to show you how we can manage routes. Okay, so for the routes functionality in Produmex, we have 4 different aspects. We have route templates, we have route details, we have route planning, and we have a routes map. Now it all starts with the route templates. With these route templates, we can define or we can combine customers, a number of customers in a specific template. So you can do that based on geographical criteria. For instance, here I have a route for Northwest England, but you can also do it based on the type of customer. So for instance, you could say, okay, I have a route for my pharma customers, or I have a route for my food customers, so that I have different criteria to combine customers into a route. Now in this example, I will take a geographical criterion. I have a route Northwest England. And if I open that route, you see that I have added 3 customers to that route currently. So these are the 3 customers that are assigned to this specific route. They have also a specific order of delivery, which is also defined by their order in the route template. And what I can do is I can change the order in the template. I can add other customers to this route template, or I can delete customers from this route template. Okay, so this is my route template, and it is possible to associate different customers to different routes. So for instance, it could be that a specific customer could also be delivered on another geographical route. So that's also a possibility. It's very flexible to define these route templates. The next step that we do is that we are going to check route details. So in this case, I'm going to plan a specific route, or check whether I can execute a specific route. So I select first the date on which I want to execute this route. I select the template that I'm going to use to see whether there is a route that can be planned. And then I'm also going to select the warehouse from which I'm going to deliver the route. So a route is also associated with specific warehouse. So in this case, it's from my warehouse 1. If I now click OK, the system is going through the sales orders, and it's going to check, are there deliveries that have to be made on that day to customers belonging to that route. So what you see now is that he has now looked into my sales order, and he says, okay, I've got 3 customers on this route, and for all of these 3 customers on the route, there are sales orders that need to be delivered. And he checks also whether there is full stock available for this for these sales orders, and also if it would be food products, he would be checking also if the shelf life of the products would be okay. So he has checked and established there are sales orders for which I need to create a pick list and deliver through this route. So what I can do now is I can generate a pick list, and now these pick lists have been issued to the shop floor. If I now look to my open sales orders, so you know I had prepared 4 sales orders. If I now check, I've only got 1 left because the 3 others were associated with a specific route. But let's say that we're also going to generate a pick list proposal and a pick list for this sales order. Okay, so we're going to say this also has to be shipped through my shipping dock 1. He has checked here what the quantity is, and he has already here also allocated a batch to this specific delivery. It's very important, and so batch management is very essential element of Produmex WMS. So at the moment that we create a pick list, the system will, based on the criterion that is valid, either first in, first out, or first expired, first out, it will allocate a batch to the sales order. Okay, so I have now my pick list proposal here. I'm going to generate a pick list. Okay, so that pick list is also generated. So currently my sales orders have all been converted into pick lists. So if we now return to the route functionality, we also have a route planning screen here. So what you see here is that we have indeed an open route. My route Northwest England is here, and I have a pick list that is not on a route. That's what I just showed you. What we can now do is we can manage this route in one of the quadrants, and what you see here, if I maximize this, is that we have on this route for Northwest England, we have 3 pick lists for these customers, and we currently have no logistic units yet, and the status of the pick list is not ready. Okay, so let's now proceed, and we'll now jump into managing also load management. First, I want to show you the routes map. So if we open the routes map, this is an integration with Google Maps. We can now look at our route Northwest England. Okay, and we see here that for this route we have our warehouse, which is situated here, and we have our 3 drop-off points here. So the first customer is has his drop-off point here, the second one, the third one. So let's take that now for now. Okay, now we're going to jump into the load management, and for that we have a container management function. So with this container management function, we can manage the loading of containers, but also of trucks. And a truck can also be considered to be a container. So let's define a container code and a container description. We can define lots of information. If it's really a container, it is important that we also give information about to which port it will be sent, when it is estimated to departure, and when it's estimated to arrive, and so on. So that's all information that can be gathered in here. And we also can define maximum volumes. And so in this case, let's say that we define that our truck has a maximum volume of 0.65 cubic meters. It has a maximum weight of 750 kilos and a maximum value of $65. Okay. What we can now do is, we can define sales or purchase containers. Now in this case, we're going to link this container to a specific route. And in this case, I can now select my route. And here I've got the available routes. That is my route Northwest England. Okay, so what we see here right now is that the weight of the products that I have on my pick lists is calculated and is compared to the maximum volume and the maximum weight that I have defined here. So here you see it's in the green area, meaning, okay, this is still this is all right. the yellow indicates that it is a bit underloaded, and so it is on the low side, and also the maximum price is all right. So now I'm going to add this container, and what we will see is that by doing this and returning to the route planning screen, the system will have added these data also to the route planning screen. Okay, so I'm adding it. Okay, if I now go back to my route planning screen and I associate you will now see that on top here, we have got now the data that I added to the container with respect to the maximum volume and the maximum value and the maximum weight. Now currently we have got here a pick list that is not on a route. I could say, okay, let me try whether I can associate that pick list also to that route. So let me try that. What I can do here, I can drag and drop it here, and what you see that by dragging and dropping this pick list to this route, I'm overloading the container. I'm exceeding the maximum weight of the container, I'm exceeding the maximum volume, and I'm exceeding the maximum value of the container. So this is an easy way to check whether the goods that you want to deliver to your customers will actually fit into the truck that you're going to use for delivery. So what you could do, for instance, now is say, okay, let's take a bigger truck and modify the dimensions, and then I would be sure to be able to fit this additional pick list in this truck. What you also see right now, if I go to my routes map, he has also adapted that. So if I look here, what you see now is that indeed by adding this pick list to the route, I have added an additional drop-off point to the route. Okay. Now returning, I'm not going to decide to take another truck, but what I can also do from here is I can say, okay, I'm not going to fit this on this route, but what I will do is I will create a new route. Okay, and I can give it a name, Northwest 2. And say that it has to be shipped out through my shipping dock 1, okay. And then I could say, okay, I'm going to manage this route in my second quadrant, and then I could move the route or the pick list over there. Again, if I consult my routes map, what I get right now is that I have two routes. So my route Northwest 2 from A to B, and my route Northwest England with my 3 original delivery or drop-off points. Okay, so you see that this is quite a flexible tool. Let's now proceed with the picking and shipping of these routes. So what I have done now is, okay, we have created these pick lists, and they are now available for picking on the shop floor. So if I go to my RF terminal, I click on sales, and I say I'm going to do picking, he shows me the 4 pick lists that are here currently and which are not ready. And so the other one is here, so they're not ready, and he shows me the 4 pick lists here. So let's now start the picking. So I'm going to select the pick list. Now before I demonstrate the picking, let me show you a few things that I have prepared. I have prepared here a few barcodes for the locations and that I will be using. And I have here also an item label. This is an item label of the product that I'm going to pick. And here you see that it consists of a global trade item number of this product and also of a batch number. And this is a product, the same product, but of a different batch number. And I will show you that if I scan the wrong product during the picking, the system will not allow me to do that. Okay, so now we're going to select the item to pick. I'm now going to put it on a picking card because I'm not immediately going to process the logistic unit. So I'm going to select my movable location, my picking card 1, and then I go to my location. So I select the location. Okay, that's right. And then I'm going to scan the product. So let's now assume, so he tells me here that I need to pick from this batch number 2018-02-0004. So let's assume that I deliberately take the wrong batch number. So I scan the wrong batch number now. And he tells me you cannot pick from this batch number and best before date. So the system guarantees that I pick what I should pick. Now I'm going to scan the right one. Okay, and I need to pick 10 cartons of this product. So I'll specify 10 cartons, no pieces. Okay, then I have my second one. Again, at the same location, so it's in our identical sales orders. I'm going to put it on the same movable location, and then I'm going to scan the location again. Okay, scan the product. Okay, and also for this one, I'm going to scan 10 cartons. So this next one. Same location, same movable location. Then again, and the product, and 10 cartons. And then I'm also going to select this one. Again, oh no, just first have to do the movable location. Select the location and scan the product, and I've got 10 cartons of those as well. Okay, so everything that is picked now, and if I return to my my dashboard here, if I now refresh this, he will tell me that the status is picked, but I still have got no logistic units. Here also, if I refresh, it says the products are picked, but I haven't got any logistic units yet. Okay. So also, if I now look in my inventory report, we have a specific Produmex inventory report on which we can check where inventory is in the warehouse. So if I now look at my picking card, then he will show me that I've got 400 pieces, meaning 40 cartons of 10 pieces each on my picking card 1. Now you will notice now that we start the packing process that he will know for whom these products are. So if I now go to my packing line, so I'm now going to the touch screen or the desktop PC, and I'm going to do the packing now. In the packing, he asked me to select the packing location. So I've got 3 packing lines that I have defined where I can do the packing. So I'm selecting my packing line 1. And then he says, okay, scan a movable location to add items. So I'm now going to, I can scan my movable location, but I'm going to specify it individually. And he shows me now that I've got 4 customer addresses on this on my picking card that need to be delivered. So I'm going to proceed now with the first one. He asked me, are you going to put this on a logistic carrier? Yes, I'm going to put it on a Euro pallet. And then he tells me, okay, these are the what you need to deliver to this customer. And so in this case, as I've got all products from the same batch, I would not have to do a verification. But if I would have products of different batches, it would again be possible by scanning the batch number to see that I've got the right product for the right customer. So I'm going to add the item. So I'm going to create now a logistic unit. What he has done now is tell me, okay, I've generated a unique identification code for this logistic unit. This is the SCCC, and I'm going to finish this logistic unit. And he tells me now, okay, this has to move to shipping dock 1. And what he does now is that he generates a shipping label, so the label that I talked about. So he has now created a shipping label in which we have information in human readable format. So here we have the from to address, we have the product, we have the content or the global trade item number. So this is a GS1 code. We have the quantity. Best before this is not applicable, but we have also a batch number associated, and that information is also captured in the barcodes here. So here you see the barcode of the logistic unit, and you see also here the barcode about the product telling me 02, this is the global trade item number, 37 is the quantity, so 10 cartons, and 10 signals that this is the batch number. Okay. I'm now going to proceed with my second product, my second order, which I'm also going to put on a logistic carrier. So I'm taking this one. We can go fast. So what I could do here, for instance, is also create 2 logistic units. And so for instance, I could say I'm going to have 2 logistic units of 5 cartons, add items, and finish that one. And again, he would then generate an SCCC. So we have the flexibility in the packing process to split up products across various logistic units. So in this case, this is the second one. Finish that one. Okay. And again, we get here the shipping label. So yes, now I've got 2 customer addresses left. So here again, add items, finish logistic unit, the same. And then I've got my, here again, the 2 SCCCs that have been generated. And then finally, still 1 to go. Okay. Add items, finish logistic units. So, okay, so we have now gone through the packing process, and we have created now the logistic units for each of the sales orders or the pick lists. So if we now go back to our route planning view, we click on refresh, and we see now that the status is packed. So every order has been packed now, and for the one of the customers, we have created indeed 2 logistic units. For the other ones, each time 1, and the same here. Also, this one is packed, and we have created 1 logistic unit. Okay. So if we now want to ship these, normally what we do is we do sales, and then we go to shipping, and we say we want to ship from our shipping dock 1. And there we have a function to do a shipping of routes. But if we click on this, we see that there is no route available for shipping. Now the reason for that is that a route has to be released. Has to be released by the warehouse manager before it can be actually shipped. So if we now go to the route planning screen again, we see that I as a warehouse manager see that my routes are ready for shipment. So what I can do now is I can release the route. So if I would do that now, he will now allow me to, or the operator in the warehouse to load the route, and he will do that in the opposite, opposite direction of delivery. So the one that goes on the truck first is the last to be delivered. So please note, so we first have to deliver Grindstone Bay Pastoral, then Gallery Art Spaces, and then the Bretzel Bakery. But in the loading process, we will first load this one, then this one, and then the next one. So I'm now going to release the route, and then that is the moment when it becomes available for the people in the warehouse to ship it. So I'm going to release the route. He tells me that this cannot be undone. Yes. Okay, it's now gone here. And if I now go back to my terminal, I see here my route Northwest England. And I see indeed that he has changed the order. So the one that goes on first is the last one to go off. Now I can scan the SACCs to confirm that I'm loading this onto the truck. But also, if I would say, okay, I'm mistaking, so I'm scanning this one first. So let me simulate that. The system will warn me and say the scanned SACC is not in the correct order. Are you sure you want to load the SACC? Now the reason that we don't block this is because it might be possible that the truck driver may decide, okay, I'm going to deliver in a different sequence for some reason. So we allow it, but we always give a warning. So in this case, I'm not sure, so I'm returning here, and I'm now going to do it in the order that is defined by the system. So I'm going to scan this one first. This has been loaded. I have the second one here. That's loaded. And then I've got the two that I created for that other customer. That's one gone on. Okay, and he's now creating the sales delivery report. So what you see right now is that he's here now going to generate the delivery notes for all of the deliveries that we have done. Okay, and if we check now in sub business 1, sales deliveries, we look for our latest deliveries, and then so here we have got the deliveries that we have done to our customers. Okay, so this was the demonstration of the delivery route management functionality of Produmex WMS in combination with load management. I hope that it has been interesting for you, and this recording will be available on the Boyum IT website shortly. Thank you, and bye-bye.